Welcome to the UK Travel Planning Podcast. Your host is the founder of the UK Travel Planning website, Tracy Collins. In this podcast, Tracy shares destination guides, travel tips, and itinerary ideas, as well as interviews with a variety of guests who share their knowledge and experience of UK travel to help you plan your perfect UK vacation. Join us as we explore the UK from cosmopolitan cities to quaint villages, from historic castles to beautiful islands, and from the picturesque countryside to seaside towns.
Hello and welcome to episode 121 of the UK Travel Planning Podcast. This week I'm joined by guest Ashley Dowling, who takes us through her incredible UK adventure. From exploring London's iconic sites like Buckingham Palace, Westminster Abbey and the Tower of London, to planning the perfect day trip to Edinburgh. Yes, you heard that right, a day trip to Edinburgh, which included a return journey on the Caledonian Sleeper Lowlander train. Ashley shares all the highlights and insider tips from her trip. If you're wondering how to make the most of a day trip to Edinburgh from London, or simply want to hear about some amazing UK travel experiences, this episode is for you. I started our conversation by asking Ashley to introduce herself.
So my name is Ashley Dowling, and I live in Alton, New Hampshire. And my husband and I went to London for 9 glorious days.
And you just got back, didn't you? Actually, well, not even a week back.
We did. Yes, we're not even a week back yet.
I know. And I was just saying, you're pretty good with the jet lag. You've managed to kind of overcome that, which is good.
Yes.
It's always
it was a little rough coming back.
It's always a bit tough, and it's not something I look forward to when I go over. I always think, oh, those first few days where I feel so tired. Anyway, so let's talk about how long. So you were in the UK for 9 days. So let's have a quick overview of your itinerary.
Okay, so we were over in the UK for 9 days. We managed to hit the ground running. I have my list here in front of me. So we landed, we went to Kensington, we did the Tower of London, we went to Edinburgh for a day, we did the Buckingham Palace, we did Westminster Abbey, we did Windsor Castle, we did Hampton Court, and we did a whole bunch of stuff added to that we didn't even plan on, that we kind of fit in or were able to fit in. St. Paul's Cathedral, where the British Museum. We went to the Portrait Gallery, had the fantastic presentation on the 6 lives of King Henry VIII. That was amazing. We did the Hard Rock. We did the Royal Mile in Edinburgh. We did the Caledonian Sleeper. We did it all. We did it all, and we did Beatles stuff. We walked to Eton College. Yeah, we did as much as we could.
You did. You really did. And I remember when we did the itinerary consult, we were kind of amazed because you were going to go up to Edinburgh for the day. And we were like, right, okay, and we've not had anybody do that one before. So I'm going to ask you about that specifically in a minute. But
yes,
obviously, I've just mentioned you did an itinerary consult with us, which was lovely. So it's how we got to meet you and your husband, Ryan. So it was fab. But apart from the itinerary consult, how did you go about planning your trip?
I really used the articles from your Facebook page and the recommendations of folks that had been there before to kind of base our trip off of. I knew what I wanted to do as, a fan of royals and being able to trace, like my personal family history back. So I knew I wanted to do the big things like Windsor Castle and Westminster and the Tower of London. But seeing what other folks did off of the Facebook page was really helpful. And honestly, Tracy, you and Doug, like a lot of your articles were just amazing. It really, really helped me kind of pull it all together.
Oh, that's great. That's good to hear. And you're also a fan of the podcast as well. So that's good.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, that's cool. And I'm going to be over in London end of September, beginning of October for probably about 6 or 7 weeks. So I'm going to start doing lots of videos. So that's going to be a new thing. So we'll be on YouTube. So not only will you be able to read our stuff or listen to us, you'll be able to actually watch us as well. So give us a follow.
That's great.
Give us a follow on YouTube or Instagram if you haven't, because I will be doing a lot of Instagram stuff while we're traveling. So this is that's going to be so cool. So I know you visited a lot of places, but I want to ask you about that trip to Edinburgh. I'm going to kind of drill down a bit on that because, so talk us through what you did in Edinburgh and how it panned out.
So at Doug's advice, we took the liner train over to Edinburgh and got out. And we got there around 1 p.m. And then we got at the Royal Mile. We went right to Holyrood. We explored that for a little while. Then we walked back. We did Greyfriars Kirkyard, and we explored that. We did the castle very briefly. We did not spend a lot of time in Edinburgh Castle. We had a reservation at Johnny Walker that I had made, and we had a little bit of dinner there. We walked to two fantastic pubs, the Amber Rose and the Black Rose. And then we came back on the Caledonian Sleeper, which was an experience.
Okay, so because we haven't taken the Lowlander, we're actually taking the Highlander again at the end of September because we're coming back from Inverness. So we're doing Inverness to London on the Highlander. So how was the Lowlander experience from Edinburgh to London? Because it leaves quite late, so you have to kind of hang around a bit, don't you?
Yeah. Yep. The Caledonian Sleeper came back at like 10 p.m. or it left at 10 p.m. So, that worked out actually great for us. Otherwise, I don't think we would have been able to fit it in. If it had left any earlier, then we wouldn't have done it. But there's never enough time in Scotland, I feel like. But it gave us just enough. We were like, oh, this is where we're going to come back to. We're going to go back for sure.
That's good to hear. And it's I'm the same. It doesn't matter how many times I go back to Scotland. I want to go back to Scotland and explore more of it. It's just always calls me back. It's just a wonderful place. So actually being able to go up there and doing what you did and had that kind of taste, it's great that it kind of then giving you them just go, right, you know what? That's where we're going to go and explore. And we can certainly help you with that next time we're going to go to Scotland. We love talking about Scotland. So overall, and I know this is a really hard question because you went to some amazing places, but what were your favorite places and favorite experiences from the trip?
Oh, okay. I wrote these down because I have a few of them. For me, we were able to do the Buckingham Palace East Wing tour, hands down. And I got like a little bit emotional about it because, a part of that tour is going into where you see the balcony. And for me, this is kind of a royal based trip. The tour guide stopped us and, she said, I want you to think about who has stood here. And then I was like, oh, please don't say that. I kind of, emotional person anyways, but I, just thinking about everybody who has stood there really just got me. That was a very special moment. As well as when we went to Windsor, I wasn't sure if the Queen's, the Queen Elizabeth's, we were going to be able to view that they say tomb, and I feel like tomb is so harsh, but it's what it is. And I had really wanted to be able to do that. And we were able to do that. And it meant a lot to me to be able to do it and see that. So those two things to me were very important, to me that I got to do.
Oh, that's fantastic. If I asked the same question to Ryan, what do you think he would say? Hi, it's Tracy here. Just popping in to say, if you're enjoying the UK Travel Planning Podcast, I have some exciting news. Why not join us on the Global Travel Planning Podcast, where we bring you travel inspiration, itinerary ideas, real-life adventures, and practical tips to make your travel dreams a reality. We've already explored Japan, Vietnam, Queensland, and Switzerland, with more thrilling destinations coming up. So tune in on your favourite podcast app and embark on a global adventure with us.
I think he would probably say he likes St. Paul's, and we walked to the top of St. Paul's Cathedral. I think he liked that. And if I had to maybe guess, the Johnny Walker experience, but I don't know, I might be putting words in his mouth. But I think he liked that, and for him, I'm more of like the royal historian person. Like he likes being surprised by things, so I think for him, just the surprise of it all was probably great too.
Oh, that's good. So I know you went to Windsor Castle and you went down to Hampton Court Palace. So how did you
We
go
did.
about getting there? Was it straightforward? Because we get asked that a lot, and we do have articles on the website about that. But it's
Yes.
always interesting to ask, like, how were your experiences doing that? Did you find that straightforward for both of those?
We did. When we went to Windsor, we took, like just I don't know what it's, the railway.
Yeah, yeah, just
We took,
the above ground train. Yeah,
yep, we took the above
mainline
ground
train.
railway. And we did the same thing for Hampton Court. We found it was the most easiest, most direct line. Because you know how in Hampton Court there is like the option to, like do the tube and then take a bus. We were kind of like, forget that. We're just going to take the train. It'll get us right there. And it was not a long walk at all. So we're really happy with our choice to do the railway versus the tube.
Yeah, that's the way that I would generally go. And I lived not too far from Hampton Court for a while as well. So
Yeah.
I always enjoy going there. It's actually really easy to get to. In fact, Windsor Castle as well is really easy to get to. You just have to remember that you have to get a ticket. You can't use contactless or Oyster card. There's always so many people that get caught out of that. They come off the train and the signs go, no, you can't use your Oyster card. You can't use contactless. You have to have bought a train ticket.
Yeah.
So that's always worth knowing. Did you see the changing of the guard when you were at Windsor Castle? Or
Yes. So I'm a huge Mary Poppins fan. And we go and like, I've paid my respects to the Queen. I'm like all misty eyed and I'm like, oh my goodness, people are going to think I have a problem. We come out to the changing of the guard, who decides to stand there and play none other than Feed the Birds and a whole Mary Poppins selection. So then I'm crying even more. It was like a series of perfect events. I mean, we just walked right into it and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, did they know I'm here? Like, what happened? It was amazing.
oh,
It was amazing.
oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So I know you did the opening ceremony as well at the Tower of London. How did you
Yes.
find that?
I thought that I think that was very special. I'm very glad that we did that. We had booked 2 tours with walks. So we had done the opening ceremony and then we did the Westminster Abbey tour. But the opening ceremony at the Tower of London was, I felt like I was witnessing a little piece of history. And the keys were literally, like you've seen them, like that round, like when you picture old keys, you're like, oh, that's, like that's really what they look like. And I zoomed in and I got a picture of them because I was like, no one's going to believe me. Like, this is literally what they look like.
It's amazing, isn't it, watching that ceremony, the open one and the close one. They're just so, because you are watching like it is an event that goes on every single day of the year. It has its routine of how it's done. And also the fact that you have the yeoman warder explaining what's happening as well, which is really important, I think. And I saw you've shared your photo, and I don't know that yeoman warder. My aim is to have met all of them, so I was like, oh, I don't know him.
There's a new one.
I know. So did you? How was it? Was it good? I mean, what did he? Was he? I mean, they're all brilliant.
It was great. He was hilarious. So the first thing he's, like he had us all line up and, the first thing he asks is, is anybody from America? And I was like, oh no, oh no. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to raise my hand. And then he goes, well, if you are, we have a gate for you here. We turn around and there's Trader's Gate. And I'm like, oh, lovely. So he was great. He was so funny and, like it really just made, like it was a short ceremony, but really just made it, all that more special for us. And the Irish guards were there. The Irish guards were there that day, and we're Irish as well, so it was a bonus treat to see them.
Oh, that's perfect. And then you get to go and see the crown jewels like before anybody else. So I know I always go around the Travelator a couple of times because I'm like, I'm going to have a really good look at these things.
Yep, we did. We went around twice, and that big diamond is something.
I know that just, you kind of go, wow. I know they are amazing. They are beautiful. I don't know if I'd like to have one of those things on my head because I think they must be incredibly heavy. But they're very pretty to look at, and I know that they're very, very popular with everybody. So I always say, if you're going to go to the Tower of London, do the Walks Trail so you get to see the opening ceremony. Is amazing, and then you get to see go straight into the crown jewels, which is great. So that's good. Yeah. So did you do any other tours? Obviously, you did the 2 Walks tours. Westminster Abbey is amazing as well. Did you go to the Jubilee Galleries when you were there?
We did.
Yeah, aren't they amazing?
They are. They are. And what was interesting to me, of course, was they still had the numbers up from where people stood for the Queen service.
Yeah.
So that for some reason just enthralled me. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like this is where people all lined up, and it amazed me that, like, and not to mention all of the death masks that were up there,
Yes.
and
I know.
I just like, oh my goodness, like where is this hiding?
I know.
So,
And you're not allowed to take photos up there. So I'm going to mention, because I'm not going to cut it out. We've got your dog in the background. So we need to introduce your dog, because no, it's fine. He's cool. What's his name?
Yes, I have two. So they are Stark and Happy, and they are supposed to be quiet, but
I think you want a little bit of attention. It's like, hey, can we join in on the podcast?
They're something.
So how did you get around? So obviously you took the LNER service up from London, Edinburgh. And I know Doug helped a lot talking about the train travel.
Yeah.
What about in London itself? How did you get around?
So we mostly did the tube. We Ubered a little bit, but we walked a lot. And Riz picked us up. He picked us up, like at the airport, and he picked us up. Or he brought us back. So he was lovely. 10 out of 10 recommend. Like, he was fantastic.
Oh, he's amazing. He's picking us up next month. I mean, by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be middle of October, so I'll actually be in London. But he's picking us up. He will have picked us up by this point.
Yay!
And it's always really good to see. And Riz will be taking Doug back to the airport, because he'll be back in Australia by the time this podcast comes out.
Wow.
He's only getting a month in the UK, whereas I'm getting 3. So what about? No, it's a sore point. What about accommodation? Where did you stay, and were there any highlights to that?
We stayed right at the Resident Victoria. Cannot recommend that enough. We were within walking distance from the Royal Mews, and it took us 3 minutes to get to Buckingham Palace, which for me was great, because we went down there, I think around 10 p.m. one night, and everything was all lit up. It was stunning. It was exactly what I had envisioned, and I did not find it expensive at all compared to, like, I think where were we next to the St. Regis, which was absolutely not an option. Like that, I was like, no, no way. It's tucked right in there along with everything else. So I was surprised.
That's good, because London can be an extremely expensive place to stay.
Yeah.
It soon adds up. Yes, and there are some very expensive hotels that I have not stayed in yet. But if any of you hotel guys are listening, I'm quite happy to come and try out your hotels for sure.
Yes, put it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's talk food. So we talked a little bit about whiskey, but what about food? What were your favorites?
Okay. We had some amazing food. We did go to the English Grill at which was a restaurant right next door to us. We had beef Wellington, and it was everything that I thought it would be. We ended up at the Old Bank of England, where we had some meat pies, a la, Fleet Street and all of that. We did, I always get it wrong, ye old Cheshire cheese.
Yes, ye old Cheshire cheese, yes.
Yep. So we did that. We had a drink there. We didn't get food there, but we had a drink, and it was amazing. And then we ended up at the rooftop in St. James. That we just had drinks and a little bit of charcuterie, but that was very, very good too. I would recommend, if anybody is looking for a spot with a view and they want a nice drink, the rooftop at St. James was great. It's in Trafalgar, so I know a lot of people, it's not their first, choice to eat at, but it was great.
Oh, good. No, it's always good to have recommendations. What about in Edinburgh? What did you? I know you mentioned a couple of pubs. Did you eat when you were there? I hope you ate.
Yes, we did. We had a few things at Johnny Walker, but after that, we ended up at the Amber Rose, which was, we had, I had macaroni and cheese. I'm a little embarrassed by that, but it's made with real English cheese.
Yes.
To which I replied, I hope so. It didn't even occur to me. It was delicious. It was lovely. My husband got fish and chips a few times, because you have to. We really did have a good time. The best one, I will say, for breakfast, we went to the Deli Roubachon, where we got one of the square croissants,
yes,
with the cream inside.
Yeah.
I am really glad that I didn't know that that was a short walk through Green Park for us to get there, because I would have been there every morning. It was delicious.
I know. I have to admit, I'm already thinking my jeans are a little bit tight, and I just know how many things I want to eat when I get over there. I'm like, oh, the list is long. The afternoon tea list. I'm like, I want to do lots of
Oh,
afternoon teas, and I'm like,
yep.
oh, but we'll be doing a lot of walking. You do a lot of walking, so you kind of you
Yep.
do
We
walk it
did.
off.
Yeah, we did end up doing an afternoon tea at Fortnum and Mason. And that was a good experience. That was fun. It was great. And after that, I didn't really get a lot of tea. Like, that kind of surprised me. I wasn't sure, like, I don't know what impression I was under, but I figured, like, I could get tea and scones everywhere. Apparently not. I mean, or maybe I just didn't look in the right places, but so when we got them, we got them.
You enjoyed them. That's really good. Oh, I
Yeah.
want to ask you about the Churchill Arms as well, because I know you'd booked a meal there. How did that go?
So I ended up getting an email from them saying that they were closed for food because
Oh,
something had happened in their, like in their kitchen. So instead of going to the Churchill Arms, we went to the Albert, which was also really great.
oh, that's
So
good.
yeah, and closer to us. So I didn't know that existed. So it was
Oh, okay.
great.
Oh, there's so many. I'm busy doing my new product, which hopefully will have launched by the time of this podcast comes out, which is going to have a lot of information about different places to eat in London. I can't eat in
Yeah.
all of them. I'd like
Mhm.
to. I'd have to probably spend the rest of my life in London just to even think about eating in all these
Right.
amazing places. But it's been really fun doing all the research and all the different. Oh, there's just so many
Yeah.
amazing places to eat when you're there. So.
Good food everywhere.
Mm.
We ended up at the Hard Rock because I wanted to go over and see the vault. And we ended up in the vault, and my favorite band is Aerosmith. So he let me hold one of Joe Perry's guitars, and he was like, "Don't tell anybody this, but I'm just going to tell you and, all of your listeners." But I got to hold it, and, like, I was so very excited. Um,
Oh, that's so good. And you went to do the Abbey Road walk, Beatles. Did you do
we
that? Yeah.
did. Yeah, we ran up to Abbey Road and we did that. Totally didn't realize it was as busy as it is right there, and how upset the people got, like waiting for people to cross the road, which I don't blame them. So we did that. We ran across really, really quickly and just sort of filmed ourselves. And then we found the Abbey Road store, so we bought some things from there, and then they came back. We did go to Savile Row, and
Hmm.
we saw, like their building there where they played the last
Yeah.
show. And
Yeah.
um,
Oh, cool.
do you know what we did that was really cool? We went on this little tour of like the shops of London. So we went to like John Lobb, and we went to the Lock and the Hatter, and James Fox. So we saw where Churchill bought his cigars, and we went downstairs and sat in Churchill's chair. At John Lobb, he has the replicas and the templates for all of the royal shoes. So there's literally Queen Victoria's template of her shoes. And then when we went to the Hatter, they have the diagrams of everyone's head who's had hats made. It was fascinating. I'll
Okay.
have to send that info to you. It was fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm adding that to my list. I need to go
Yeah,
and
it
try. I need
was.
to go and do that. That sounds
Yep,
great.
I'll send it to you. It was amazing, and I was a little wary about just walking in, knowing that, like, I was like, I can't afford like anything in here, but I really want to know the history of this. And they seemed really cool with people coming in, which was great because he explained to us how they made the hats, how they made the shoes, and it was just also for us kind of made it feel like, okay, this isn't just the average tour. Like, this is something special.
Yeah, and honestly, they'll be used to majority of people walking in not being able to afford anything in the shops.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That it wasn't happening.
No, no, just look and appreciate, and that's it. It's like, that's me, and walk out. But that does take me into a really lovely question that I do like to get in if I can and to ask, which is, did you buy anything? And if you did, what did you buy?
So before we left, I was like, how am I going to buy as many souvenirs as I would like to buy and fit them all in? So I have a fantastic friend who makes quilts. And so I bought tea towels from everywhere we went and she's going to turn them into a quilt for me. And I thought that was the coolest idea, because I was like, I can't really take home a lot of big bulky souvenirs, but the tea towel, I mean, I probably have like 20 tea towels, ready to go. And I'm going to give them to my friend Laura and say, here, like do what you can. And I think that'll be the coolest souvenir.
I love that idea. I
Yeah.
really do. And I want to see a picture of it when she's done it.
Oh,
that'd be
absolutely.
amazing. Now you've given me an idea. I spoke to I did a podcast the other day with Heather, who'd visited with a family, and they started collecting the little ducks. You get the little duck, like little Henry VIII duck and Winston Churchill duck and Jane Austen duck.
Yeah.
So that's now on my list this time to go back. So I need to collect ducks. And now I'm thinking, like I usually buy tea towels, and I've got loads.
Yeah.
And then they get it put in the drawer, and then I think, can I put them on the wall? And I used to make quilts, so I never even thought about doing that. That's a genius idea. I love that idea.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted something different. So.
Yeah. Oh, and I need to ask you as well, because I know that you're a ballet dancer. So yes. I saw the lovely photos, and I will put them in the show notes, that you made it to the Royal Ballet. And
we did.
Was that special?
It was, like, wherever we go, I try to find the local dance studio, the dance area, and like finding the Royal Ballet was pretty special. I was able to take a picture out front. I was able to go in and talk to them and just say, hey, like, I am from here. I have, wanted to come over for forever. And, like, they were fantastic. They had a tea towel. So I bought it. And then after that, like, we went around to the other places. There was a dance store called Block and Freed, and I got some souvenirs and some things for my kids. And, it was that was pretty special too.
Oh, that's brilliant. So I'm going to kind of wrap up, but I'm going to ask the question I always ask at the end of the podcast. What is the one tip that you would give to anyone visiting the UK for the first time?
So I thought long and hard about this. I wanted to give something interesting. And my best advice when visiting for the first time is to look everywhere, because we went on a lot of tours, and every time a door was open, I would look, because, like, they're very good at directing you where you should look, but I wanted to look everywhere. So, like, especially when we were in Buckingham, I was, like, looking down the corridors and looking other ways. And I just feel like you get a little more sense of your belongings when you look around everywhere. Oh, so that's my advice. Look everywhere.
No, that's a really good tip. Look up, look down corridors, look around. You never know. King Charles might have been wandering around one of those corridors at some point.
Look down. When we went to Holyrood, I was not looking down, and I missed the blood spot. Lord Darnley, and I had to turn around and go back, and I had to ask and be that person who was like, I missed the blood spot. So look everywhere.
Absolutely. Oh, and one question I'm just gonna ask now, because there's been a lot of feedback in the Facebook group about Kensington Palace. Now, I personally really like Kensington Palace, because to me it's that tie to Queen Victoria. She was born there. There's her toys, which I just think are amazing to see. Yeah. But there's been a bit of like, didn't enjoy it, did enjoy it. So how were you with Kensington Palace? Did you enjoy it?
I like Kensington. I mean, I thought it was beautiful. I did not expect to see her crowns, which was special. I love the Diana Memorial. I love the gardens. I thought that Kensington, I can get where people say that, because it doesn't seem as grand in nature, but I think you have to remember where it started, I mean, so for me, I personally love Kensington, and I would, if anybody has it on their list and they're doubting it, do it.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to go again when I'm back. I don't know how I'm going to fit everything in, but I'm determined to go back to Kensington, because I really enjoyed it. Well, Ashley, it's been just amazing catching up with you. It's been so good to chat with you today.
Thank you so much.
Honestly, I love talking to you guys when you come back from your trip, and it's just all. And so where are you going to go next in the UK?
Scotland.
Excellent.
Scotland. Yeah. I got to get to Balmoral. I got to do Balmoral.
Well, I haven't been there yet either, so maybe we should both add that to our list to visit for sure.
Yes.
Oh, thanks so much. Honestly, it's been great to chat with you, Ashley.
Thank you, and for all your help.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the UK Travel Planning Podcast. As always, show notes can be found at uktravelplanning.com. If you've enjoyed the show, why not leave us feedback via text or a review on your favourite podcast app? We love to hear from you, and you never know, you may receive a shout out in a future episode. But as always, that just leaves me to say, until next week, happy UK travel planning.